What's going on, fight fans? Welcome back to MMA Battleground. Today we're breaking down the growing tension between Arman Tsarukyan and Paddy Pimblett, the fallout from several key UFC storylines, and why this week feels heavier than usual across the division. Arman Tsarukyan versus Paddy Pimblett has officially moved past trash talk and into something more personal, because Arman is now openly saying that Paddy isn't even promoting his own fight properly. That comment alone turned heads. Before we get into all of it, hit the like button right now, because it genuinely helps keep this channel going every single day. Arman Tsarukyan sat down yesterday on the One Night with Steiny podcast, and the conversation quickly shifted toward the upcoming matchup between Paddy Pimblett and Justin Gaethje. Anyone who has followed Arman lately already knows where this was heading, because every time he gets near a microphone, Paddy's name comes up. During the interview, Arman made it clear he wants Gaethje to win, although his reasoning surprised a lot of people. In Arman's view, Justin doesn't knock Paddy out, and the fight either goes to a decision for Gaethje or slips away entirely. No knockout scenario exists in his mind for either side. Short and blunt. The interviewer followed up by asking who Arman thinks the UFC actually wants to win, and the response came instantly: Paddy Pimblett. According to Arman, that preference explains why the UFC never booked him against Paddy in the first place, because they know Paddy would lose that fight. He even went a step further in saying that if Dana White were asked privately who would win between them, Paddy wouldn't be the answer, although business realities keep that from being said out loud. That podcast appearance wasn't the end of it. Once the interview went live, Arman took things to social media and turned the temperature up again. With fight week approaching, Arman pointed out that it's supposed to be Paddy's moment, yet he's the one running from interview to interview. His message to Paddy was simple: wake up and get to work. From Arman's perspective, it looks bad when a fighter not even on the card is carrying the promotional load. Whether fans agree or not, one thing is undeniable: Arman has been everywhere lately. Podcasts, live streams, interviews, all of it. The conversation around Arman didn't stop with Paddy either. When asked how he would change the way the UFC operates, his answer stayed surprisingly direct. Rankings and skill should matter more than social media numbers. If a fighter earns a title shot, that opportunity should come based on performance, not popularity. Arman admitted he understands the business side and even said he would probably make similar decisions in Dana White's position. But from a fighter's standpoint, merit should come first. That same mindset carried into an idea he floated next, one that raised plenty of eyebrows. Arman suggested an 8-fighter grand prize stretched over 6 weeks, where a champion is crowned regardless of injuries or delays. On paper, it sounds clean and decisive. In reality, athletic commissions, medical suspensions, and clearance rules would make something like that incredibly difficult to pull off. Still, as a concept, it reflects how badly Arman wants a system that removes ambiguity. The focus then shifted to Dricus du Plessis and the aftermath of his fight with Khamzat Chimaev. UFC 319 last August showed Khamzat dominating across 5 rounds, landing 12 takedowns, and winning a unanimous decision that most viewers saw as lopsided. What nobody expected was how differently Dricus' team saw it afterward. Morn Visser, DDP's coach, spoke with Fight Forecast and framed the loss as a series of small mistakes rather than a one-sided beating. Visser explained that the preparation didn't account for an opponent who had no interest in engaging. From his perspective, Khamzat wasn't looking to fight, only to wrestle, hold position, and avoid damage. Had they known that was the plan, Visser said the entire approach would have changed. He even criticized referee Mark Goddard, pointing to the numbers. According to Visser, out of more than 500 punches thrown, only 27 counted as significant. Official UFC stats list 37 significant strikes out of 529 attempts, which puts his estimate closer than many expected. The damage may not have been dramatic, but the control was absolute, and every round went the same way. Dricus du Plessis echoed some of that frustration in his own follow-up comments. Credit went to Khamzat for doing what he needed to do, but DDP didn't hide how dull the experience felt. Getting bored inside a title fight says a lot. In his view, Khamzat avoided exchanges because he understood exactly how dangerous a brawl would be. Smart, yes, but frustrating. Looking ahead, Visser mentioned a possible return in April, with Brendan Allen or Nasruddin Imavov as potential opponents in a 3-round fight, and he sounded confident that Allen would not be walking away comfortably. Another storyline refusing to disappear involves Jorge Masvidal and Conor McGregor. Over the past few days, Masvidal has hinted that serious discussions are happening behind the scenes. This isn't a new idea. Years ago, when when Masvidal hovered near the welterweight title picture, his name and McGregor's were already being linked. Now, both fighters are pushing hard to appear on the upcoming White House card, and Masvidal says his management is actively working to make it happen. During an appearance on Ariel Helwani's show, Masvidal explained that his manager, Ali Abdelaziz, has been spending real time with Dana White and Hunter Campbell. Not phone calls, not messages, but face-to-face meetings. Living nearby makes that easier. And according to Masvidal, the conversations have been productive. Nothing is guaranteed, and it's always possible this is strategic noise meant to generate pressure. Still, a fight between those two would draw massive attention, even with both men well past their primes. Masvidal expanded on the matchup later with Death Row MMA, and his confidence came through clearly. Stylistically, he sees himself as a nightmare for McGregor. Bigger frame, faster hands, and comfort against southpaws all factor into that belief. In Masvidal's words, the fight would not be a smart move for Conor's comeback, because he would be handled on the feet. Even so, Masvidal admitted the spectacle alone could overwhelm streaming platforms, predicting viewership numbers high enough to crash Paramount's service. Conor McGregor, meanwhile, appears locked in. A recent photo showed him in excellent shape, and after years of delays, the return finally feels close. The tension hasn't cooled everywhere, though. When Dustin Poirier was asked if things had settled between him and McGregor after a congratulatory message regarding Poirier's newborn son, the answer came instantly: no. The follow-up insult made it clear that rivalry remains very much alive. Attention also turned to Israel Adesanya and comments made by his upcoming opponent, Joe Pyfer. Their fight is set for March 28th, marking Adesanya's first appearance since being knocked out by Nassourdine Imavov in February. Speaking on The Broderick Show, Pyfer described how the matchup came together and what it represents. Through negotiations, Pyfer heard that Israel views this fight as a test. Beating a young, powerful opponent proves he still belongs at the top. Losing, however, would feel like passing the torch, and Pyfer believes that outcome would lead to retirement. Despite the stakes, Pyfer defended Adesanya from the criticism surrounding him. At 36, riding a 3-fight skid, the narrative sounds harsh. Pyfer pointed out that the fight with Dricus du Plessis was razor close and could have gone either way, showing that Izzy still competes at a high level. Betting odds tell an unusual story too. Sitting around plus 110, Adesanya enters as the underdog, something almost unheard of for a fighter who carried the division not long ago. Sean O'Malley also opened up during the UFC 324 countdown, sharing a rare moment of honesty. At one point, becoming the biggest star in the UFC was the goal, but that peak never fully arrived. Top 2 or 3 came often. Number 1 never did. Back-to-back losses to Merab Dvalishvili stalled that momentum, yet belief hasn't disappeared. A win over Song Yadong this Saturday represents a path back. At 31, time is still on his side, even with stacked divisions ahead. Song, for his part, looks prepared, posting training footage that showed no signs of complacency. Before closing things out, Justin Gaethje's mindset deserves attention. Days away from facing Paddy Pimblett for the interim lightweight title, Gaethje reflected on his career during a conversation with ESPN MMA. When asked about his biggest mistake, he didn't point to tactics or exchanges. The Max Holloway fight from April 2024 stood out, not because of the knockout with 1 second left, but because of his mindset going in. Treating it as entertainment rather than danger cost him. The competitive edge wasn't fully there, and that realization fuels his desire for a rematch. That reflection has shaped how Gaethje approaches Saturday. Preparation and mentality have shifted. His plan involves dragging Paddy into deep waters, into the 4th and 5th rounds, where pressure and damage accumulate. To get there, Gaethje has been convincing himself that Paddy will hurt him, forcing that dangerous edge back to the surface. Betting lines favor Pimblett, although Dustin Poirier has already predicted a Gaethje knockout. Questions around Paddy's preparation surfaced recently after a clip showed him vaping during a video for Tom Aspinall's YouTube channel. Fans immediately raised concerns about cardio, especially with this being his first title fight. Others pointed out that fighters like Carlos Prates smoke regularly and still perform, while some believe nicotine might even help with focus and weight cuts. Even so, doubts remain. If this fight stretches beyond the early rounds, conditioning could decide everything. Saturday answers all of it. Either Paddy rises to the moment, or Justin Gaethje introduces him to real adversity. Drop your predictions in the comments, and if you made it this far, subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next breakdown. We'll see you next time.